Okay, good morning everyone. Today, so far, is 84 degrees in Rosemead, California at 10 o'clock in the morning. The next 7 days is supposed to be in the 90s. It's high. I also just checked the temperature in Santa Clara County up north. They're going to also be in the 90s as well. Hello everyone, welcome to the heat. How are you everyone? Is it hot enough for you? This is insane. This is when I regret not installing an air conditioning at Wei Mountain Temple. First of all, some announcements. Next weekend is Ulaanbaatar celebration. That's the 15th day of the 7th lunar month. So that's when we celebrate the Ulaanbaatar. It's a very good Buddhist tradition. We call it our Buddhist Christmas. Because that's when the monks get what they wish. Because that's the day when the Buddhists come to the temple and they make offerings on behalf of their parents and ancestors to Triple Jewel. So when I was at CTTB, my master's temple systems, Ulaanbaatar, they used to have a lot of people coming on that day. Not anymore, apparently, because they, just like ourselves, have a lockdown. No one is actually going to the temples anymore. They're afraid to get infected. Anyway, so the Chinese system, so they understand the importance of Ulaanbaatar. So they, on that day, you go and make offerings to the Triple Jewel, and that goes directly to your ancestors and even your living parents. They get what they need until the day they die. So it's very, very important for the Buddhists. They know that. So they put a table in the back there, and maybe 2 or 3 tables in the back, because one is never enough. So they bring so much stuff that for some reason the Chinese love to give us toothpaste and toothbrushes, enough to last us for 10 years. So we used to come to our supply room. It's all a wall full of toothpaste and toothbrushes. So at the time, they put a sign. They decided to put a sign that says, "No more toothpaste and toothbrushes, please." And they're not upfront about it, because it's too late. By the time the faithful bring toothbrushes and toothpaste to the table, they find out we have too many of them already. Anyway, I thought I'd start with a joke on a hot day. Last night I was preparing. I said, what should I talk about? Sunday morning, because it's always very tough. Sunday morning talk. If it's too low, then you get bored. And too high, people go, huh? What are you talking about? So I had something I wanted to talk about. And this morning, after a night of not being able to sleep, it was so hot last night, and being very stingy, I didn't turn on my AC. So now I don't know what I want to talk to you about. I'm so sorry. I forgot. It's not like the fathers and the priests where they spend the entire week thinking about what they're going to preach their faithful about. Yeah, I only have about a few hours to think about that. Anyway, anyone has any questions or comments I'd like me to address? Because right now my head is like, oh, I don't want to be here. But I looked at in San Jose, there are lots of people there. People brought their families to the temple, and I really feel very ashamed that I really have not much to tell them. The head is not working right now, if you will. Yes, and I'm, the day like today, this is when I wish we'd go and hold our assembly at the beach, where it's a lot safer, Yes, sir. Question in the back. Thank you. Give a microphone, please. Yeah. Yes, go ahead.
Thank you, Master. Last week you were mentioning that Buddhism is like they're good engineers at what to do and what not to do. So you gave us the concept, but you didn't talk about what are the things that Buddhism teaches us what we're supposed to do and what we're supposed to not do. I think you meant like, to avoid offenses and to generate more merit, good karma. Can you talk about that?
Mm-hmm. Sure. That's a good question. Very good, because Buddhism, at least in our approach about Buddhism, is not. We don't necessarily dwell as much on theories. Okay, in Buddhism, when you learn Buddhism, there are two things: the theory and the actual practices. Okay. Or if you want the jargon, the fancy jargon, so noumenon, which is a theory, the principles, and then phenomenon, which is the actual, the actions or the practices that you do. And so when you learn, when people come to the Buddhist temples, they usually hear about the principles. They hear about the theory of Buddhism because the Buddhist teaching is so vast that I'm told that, for example, the Bible over there, they base their teachings on the Bible, right? So the Catholics and Christians, they keep on regurgitating the Bibles and use that as a guideline for their practices. In Buddhism, the Buddhist teaching is about 11 times the size of the Bible. So for you to read from cover to cover, it's going to take you about 3 years just to read, okay, the whole Buddhist theory. So there's a lot of it that you can talk about. So basically, for the people like us, we need to preach you. We can pick anything from the scriptures and talk about the theory. And this is what people nowadays are used to. What attracted me to my master's Buddhism, my master's is a patriarch, is an enlightened teacher. His is more of the practices, less about the theory, okay? Because in general, if you are a Buddhist, you should be practicing about the norm. You see, you should be practicing for about an hour, okay? And for you to listen to 10 minutes worth of theory. Okay, so that's the proportions, if you will. So it's about 6 to 1, I guess. Okay, 6 hours of practices, 1 hour of theory. 1 hour practice, 10 minutes worth of theory, basically. So you see, from our branch of Buddhism, the patriarchs Buddhism, is more practices than the theory. Okay, how so? My master is known as a Tripitaka master, meaning that he understands the entire spectrum of the Buddhist teachings. Even though his education level is about the equivalent of an 8th grader nowadays, but he understands everything. He taught himself from these practices, from doing the research himself. So it means that if you ask him a question, he will understand what the teaching is about. Okay, so the emphasis on the patriarch's teaching, some of the proper dharma from the main orthodox Buddhist teaching, is more on the actions. What do you do? Okay, because that is the secret of success. Buddhism is about whether you're children, which is small, or you're younger, you're older. It's about doing the right things, right? So it's very important to know what the right things are. And so if you want to know what the right things are, the way that my master taught, okay, my teachers taught, is sort of lazy, you will. That comes from the comments. Lazy from me, but it's from the comment of his longtime followers. They said that Master YongHua, when he taught, for example, he said, if you want to teach children, because I'm giving example children because I saw some young people at here in the audience. So if you want to teach children, he says, you want to teach children, you teach them these things. So he mentioned about 3 or 4 things you're supposed to teach. Okay? For example, you want to teach him about goodness. Yes? So the general thing is you want to teach him about being a good person. What is good? Okay? And then you want to teach him about what? You are parents. I'm not parents. You should know this. Parents, help me out. Grandparents, help me out. Huh? What are you supposed to teach your children? Yes. Black.
You teach them right from wrong.
Right and wrong, yes. But what more specifically, what's right and wrong? What about it? No, he says, no, I have a lot of grandchildren. I still can't figure it out yet. Anyone, what do you teach children? It's kind of interesting because Master YongHua says, you teach them to be a good person. Yes? We all want them to become good people and grow up to be good citizens. Yes? But what do you teach them? Teach them about first? About? What?
No fighting.
How do you become a good person?
No fighting.
Orange, yes.
No
pink,
fighting.
Pink. Huh?
No fighting.
No fighting. Yeah, it's so Buddhist. No. It's so interesting. He says, you teach them about parents. Come on, you ought to know this. Shinoa, yeah. What? Internet. Wait, internet. I don't see any internet. Yes?
Teach precepts.
It's precepts. But children says, I don't want to know precepts. I'd rather be at the beach right now. Huh? San Jose, Q&A, yes. The way they do Q&A is like reverse. I say A and Q. I say A and Q. Let me try. I think they're doing it on purpose on a hot day like today when my mind is not functioning properly. Okay, San Jose, what do you teach children? What? Yes. Filiality. Okay, that's one. Over there, a young lady. Can someone pass the microphone around, please? We are short-handed now.
Respect.
There you go.
Sharing.
Very good. Okay, it says, when you teach children, one of the first things you teach them that they can understand, okay, right away is to be respectful. Okay? Respectful. You have to respect your elders. You respect older people. Okay? That's very important because that's where the instructions come from. If they want to be taught, they want to learn, someone has to teach them. And usually it's the elders, the older people who tend to know more than they. Okay, so you have to be respectful in order to be taught. Okay, so he says, teach them about respectfulness, reinforce that. You teach them by telling them, hey, you have to be respectful when you talk to your aunt, you want to talk to your older brother, and you talk to grandpa and so forth. You talk to this elderly lady, okay? You have to be respectful. If you're not respectful, no one's going to think that you're worth teaching, you're worth working hard for. Make sense? Okay, so that's the general principle, it says, respectfulness. And very good. I don't know what this lady, are you Buddhist? Oh. Sharing. Now you teach them how to deal with the elderly people because that's where you learn from them, yes? And then also you learn from your peers, yes? And you cannot learn from them unless you share with them. Okay? Don't think this is only about children. It's about you as well. Unless you're 100 years old, you still have people who are older than you. Yes? More senior than you. Yes? So you have to be respectful yourself. Isn't that cool? Okay? And then you also have to share your toys. I mean your cars with your wife. Let's face it. You see? So you have to share because that's, as we get older, we realize we also learn a lot more from our peers, from our teachers. Okay? Because we spend more time with our peers. Okay? So sharing, yes. Okay, what else? Yes, internet.
Yeah. Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, San Jose, finally.
So we also want to teach our children to serve others.
Serve others, to be helpful, yes. To help others, very good. Don't say serve. They're going to think they're waiters and waitresses. Be careful, you know, children have their own languages. You say, I don't want to be a waitress. Do I look like a waitress? I'd rather be a doctor, she says. Okay, very good. Help others, okay? That's what adults have to do too. We have to help others. Can you see the goodness in there right away? Okay, it's not about, non-fighting and all those things, If you want more details, yes, eventually you get the non-fighting, but you will not get to the details of goodness until you observe these general principles of goodness. Okay, so respectful, sharing, helping others. Okay, that's so important. That's critical to being a human. And also mention, yes, internet. Did you raise your hand? Yes?
There's quite a few.
There's quite a few? We're running out of time again. Thank Lord. Thank you, Lord. Yes?
To be honest, to sit in full lotus, one person is saying, I find one of the most difficult things to teach would be what to do when they are harassed by other children.
Right, all those things. The one thing that you ought to, that it is so Chinese, which is very important. This is very Chinese. Don't be shocked. Filiality. It is very Chinese, very Asian. Okay, this is not a concept that's known in the West, but filiality is such important concept in a person's life. Filiality is that we need to take care of our parents. To me, that is the essence of goodness right there. Okay? You have to take care of your parents, your elders. Okay? So part of filiality is also to be respectful. It's also to be sharing. Think about it. Sharing, also helping others, helping your grandpa climb the stairs. Don't push him down. Okay, things like that. So filiality. So my master used to teach those general principles only. He doesn't say, this and that. Because basically, when you have children, when this is so clever of him and what I call lazy, because when you see these general principles of goodness, of respectfulness, which is the requisite for being taught, filiality, which is the basis of goodness in a person. Okay, so he taught these general principles, and then what? And then it's up to us to figure out how to explain those general concepts with details ourselves. That's when we also have to work. We also have to read up more on what the Buddhists think as goodness. Isn't it clever? So beautiful. Because that way, lazy people like me listen to it and say, okay, I have to be respectful. That I understand. I have to be sharing. Yes, I understand that. I have to be sharing, friendly, and so forth. I have to be, what else did we say? Helpful. Very good. I have to be filial. I have to try to understand what filial means, but that's a very important thing. Okay, at least we put it. We brainwash our children the proper stuff. Okay, because once they go to school, then the teacher would brainwash them about skills and how to make money and how to sell, how to hustle your teacher for better grades and stuff like that. They learn among themselves very easily. Okay, but these are the things that so encompassing principles about goodness. Yes, and once you believe in those directions, then naturally you find out more detail yourself. And in the Buddhists, they teach you about the precepts or rules of morality, if you will. Those are more details about what goodness is. And you violate those details, that's called evil. Okay, so my master cleverly explains them as not fighting, not being greedy. Okay. And that's being a goodness, no sexual misconduct, no seeking, no lying, no seeking self-benefit. Okay, so all those are greater, a more detailed explanation of goodnesses, if you will. All right, so the short answer to his question is. The core of the details of goodness, okay, is the rules of morality in Buddhism, the 5 precepts, if you will. Okay, no killing, no stealing, no sexual misconduct, no lying, no taking of intoxicants, alcohol and intoxicants. Right. So those are those. General guidelines of goodness in Buddhism. And all the Buddhist goodness is based on the 5 precepts. And by the way, the 5 precepts encompass the 10 commandments, encompass all the other religions' teachings. If you look at them closely, actually all those are within the realms of the 5 precepts, the Buddhist 5 precepts. That's why we're all encouraged to take the 5 precepts. Yes, internet.
Master, can you briefly explain filiality?
The what?
Filiality. Can you briefly explain it?
Oh, filiality. I heard it's duality. You see, I told you, on a hot day, my ears are even plugged up. Filiality, okay? Filiality, briefly, we just only have 4 minutes left. Filiality, let me think. I do have 4 minutes, you know. Filiality, as I explained, is very close to home. You take care of your parents. You take care of your grandparents. Okay? How do you take care of them? Okay, of course, you feed them, you bring them drinks, you take care of their physical well-being, right? So you bring them food, you bring them drinks, you give them medicine, take them to the doctors. That's taking care of parents, right? So far, so good. And then you also take care of their mental well-being as well, not just physical. People in the West are too caught up in the physicality of things. They think that taking care of people is to buy a car. No, let me take it back. Buying cars is important. But no Teslas, no electric vehicles for me, okay? Anyway, so you take care of the physical aspects. You bring them food that they can eat, or when they only have 1 tooth left, you make sure they have soft food to eat, things like that. So you take care of them. You make sure they have warm clothes to wear, or good clothes to wear in the summertime. They can breathe, so forth. So physical things, you will naturally find out how to take care of them, their physical well-being. But also, what people fail to pay attention to is their mental, emotional well-being, meaning what? You need to spend time talking to them, spend time with them, take them to places. Like when you go to the beach, like on a day like today, go to the beach, ask them to come along, okay? Bring them along so that they don't feel like they're burdened. Now you try to avoid them. Okay, so that the company is desirable. It's not like grandma, you walk too slow. Grandma, you don't understand English. Stuff like that. So you put up with grandma and keep grandma company. Okay. Okay. Even the Chinese, the very Chinese thing, if you will. Don't laugh. Okay. Okay, the Chinese says, when you leave the house, you say, "Grandma, I'm going to work." Okay, "Grandma, I'm going to school." Okay, and then you come back, "Grandpa, I'm back." That's in their instructions. Isn't that cool? It's very Chinese. And you know what? When you become grandma and grandpa, you really appreciate that you're important. They think of you before they leave the house. They come back and they think of you as well. It's so subtle and it works beautifully. Okay? Agree, grandma? See, the grandmas agree with me. Rest my case. Okay, and finally, the best thing about filiality, again, I mentioned, taking care of the physical well-being, their emotional and mental well-being, okay? And finally, okay, this is extremely Buddhist, is the Buddhists believe that you take care of you being filial by helping your parents, your grandparents, great-great-grandparents go to the Pure Land. That's extreme filiality, highest level of filiality, way beyond physical, way beyond emotional. It's spiritual. You take care of the future lives that only us Buddhists know about. Because we know that people revolve in the wheel. You keep on revolving the wheel. You may go to the heavens, but eventually you will fall down again, okay? And you will get into trouble again, okay? And that's why the best way is get out of the wheel forever. And one of the easiest way, okay, is to go to the Pure Land. That's filiality. Yes, final question. I am 2 minutes over time.
What should we bring to Ulaanbaatar? How about an air conditioner? And
Lucky for you, we need everything. We're like, no one comes to Ulaanbaatar in our temple, so we don't discriminate. But when you go to the DRBA, remember, they have 10 years worth of supplies, toothpaste and toothbrushes already. Yes? Okay, last question. You're abusing my being hot.
is it okay to make donations through the internet for Ulaanbaatar next week for us who live abroad?
Absolutely. The more money, the better. Thank you, everyone.